Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today we're just jumping right into another episode of Road to Ranked. In yesterday's episode, we featured this really cool team built by a player called Audi. This was able to win a huge grassroots tournament this past weekend, so if you haven't seen the last episode, I'd highly recommend you check it out, and I've also linked Audi's YouTube channel where he goes into great detail about this team, so would highly recommend you checking his YouTube channel out and giving him a subscribe, or subscribing to him. So yeah, check him out, linked in the description below, and let's get started with today's episode. We're jumping right into this one. Pretty standard stuff, or it's actually not that standard, but I feel like I've seen a lot of these Pokemon together in combination. So Amoonguss, Duraludon, the Raichu, which provides great utility with Fake Out, Nuzzle, and the Lightning Rod to protect the Primarina and the Braviary, and then you've got Arcanine. So I feel like Gastrodon's really good here. Part of me honestly wants to just go Persian Terrakion, because I can even ignore the Amoonguss, which might be my opponent's best way to shut down the redirection. So Persian, Terrakion, Gastrodon, and Ferrothorn looks pretty dang good here in this matchup, honestly. Amoonguss might be a little bit tougher to deal with if I'm not bringing Charizard, but I think with the Lumberry and the Goggles and Ferrothorn in the back, we should be alright. So let's get right into today's episode. As always, if you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, I want to know what you all think is the best overall designed Pokemon, just in terms of pure aesthetics. I think for me, I'm not sure if there's an answer that immediately jumps out to mind, but Blastoise has actually always been one of my favorites. This is actually Raichu and Amoonguss. Okay. So this is pretty solid for us because I can ignore the Spore, right? So what we can actually do, it's Air Balloon. That's interesting. What we can do turn one is just Fake Out into the Raichu, and because I have the Lumberry on Terrakion, I can actually just protect the Terrakion here. And what this allows me to do next turn is just beat up Rock Slide, I think. I don't even necessarily have to Dynamax. Fake Out Protect might seem a little bit odd here, but I think it's actually our best play because Amoonguss doesn't threaten the Terrakion at all. I just don't want to eat up a Fake Out here and a Spore. I guess I have the Lumberry though, but I don't want to get paralyzed with Nuzzle the subsequent turn. So yeah, I'm going to Protect here, conserving my Lum this turn. It's a pretty passive lead from my opponent's end. Air Balloon Raichu is pretty interesting. Okay, so we get the Fake Out off. See, Raichu is probably going to go for a Fake Out onto the Persian and their Spore into Terrakion. Okay, perfect. Because now what I can do this next turn is just go for Beat Up. And the only question is whether I want to just consider Rock Sliding or Rock Falling. Because I could Dynamax with Gastro or Ferrothorn in the back. Maxing Terrakion seems pretty dang good here, though. Especially, the only question is if my opponent actually Nuzzles and Spores Terrakion. I also don't know if +4 Rock Slide KOs Amoonguss. I don't think Raichu's really a threat here at all, to be honest, so... Well, actually, they probably go for the Rage Powder here, right? So I think because you have to respect the beat up and you don't expect the Goggles, you're not going to Spore. So I'm just going to beat up Rock Slide here. Yep. And this is the beauty of safety goggles. This puts us in just a tremendous position now. Yeah. Regardless of what Raichu goes for here, if it's a Nuzzle, I've got the Lumberry, so I don't even care about that. I knock out the Raichu, now I speed the rest of the team with Terrakion. This is why I didn't want to Dynamax. I'd rather hit both of my opponent's Pokemon right now than get a knockout. Because if I knock out the Amoonguss, it actually just gives my opponent a free switch in, and Amoonguss is actually in a really terrible spot right now. Especially because I have the Goggles and spread damage. It basically doesn't do anything. And I have the Lumberry on Terrakion, so you can see how this lead just completely shuts down Amoongus's. Okay, so let's see... Yep, there's the Nuzzle, but thankfully we have the Lumberry. So that play makes a lot of sense, if you're expecting the beat up, obviously, to get redirected. So as long as we don't miss this, we're in great shape. And it looks like Rock Slide is going to double connect. So that should knock out the Raichu. And Amoonguss hangs on, but I actually don't really mind that too much. I think that's fine. Because once again, it just doesn't do very much in this position right now. So whatever comes in, I can just Parting Shot into that. Even go out to Ferrothorn if I'm anticipating a Spore. This is where maybe having Clefairy would have been better, because if I had a Clefairy in this endgame, I can just go Parting Shot into whatever's coming in, bring out Clefairy, and just kind of close out the game from there. Although I guess if Duraludon comes out right now, things wouldn't have looked that great. But actually Arcanine, which is actually kind of surprising to see here. I feel like that's not what you want to bring in, because right now I can just spam Rock Slide. So that makes me think their fourth Pokemon is even worse to bring out right now, because I feel like Duraludon would have made a lot of sense here if you had it, or even Primarina, so... Quite frankly, I'm actually kind of content just going for a Parting Shot here onto Arcanine and a Rock Slide. Let me think. There are... I mean, we're at +3 attack. We outspeed with Terrakion against everything. Neither Pokemon has protected here. There could be a potential switch out. I guess if anything's switching out, it's Amoonguss, right? Rock Slide's going to KO the Arcanine here anyway, so why don't we Parting Shot Amoonguss instead? Yeah. I mean, maybe Arcanine just switches into Hard Switch Out, but there's the Protect. It could just be a double Protect, but my opponent's not, like, stalling out Dynamax or anything here. Looks like, yeah, Amoonguss is actually going to opt to try to attack here. Honestly, I would have preferred to have Persian in, so I could have Parting Shotted whatever was coming out, but now I can bring in the Gastrodon, I think. Yeah, I mean, we should bring out the Gastrodon, because then if we knock out the Arcanine, I think the Ferrothorn should just beat whatever my opponent has in the back. So as long as we don't miss Rock Slide here. If we miss Rock Slide, that is a Spore into the Terrakion, which would be really bad. But fortunately, we've connected all the Rock Slides thus far, so that's really good. And that is just the beauty of Goggles Persian into Terrakion with Lumberry. Like, all the items were super, super good for us here. We needed everything, basically, to feel super confident about our setup. And with Braviary being the last one, I think this is pretty much just game over. I can max the Terrakion, because I don't want to risk missing, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I could say Braviary, like, max guarding here as you Will-O-Wisp with Arcanine. The safer play is probably to just Rockfall into the Arcanine. But Braviary does have a fair amount of offense, whereas I don't think Arcanine can really hit us. Even if you burn us, like, we still have an attack increase, basically. So, I'm just going to Earth Power the Arcanine and Max and Rockfall here. My opponent, by not bringing Primarina or Duraludon, left themselves to be super weak to be Terrakion. And I think their plan was to just probably put the Terrakion to sleep and use Amoonguss to redirect the beat up, and that's why the Safety Goggles is such a good item here on Alolan Persian. So, yeah. I think that was basically a great demonstration of how you want to use Persian and Terrakion, and why, you know, a lot of players' answers against it typically are to just bring out Amoonguss as redirection. But as you saw, Amoonguss and Raichu is super passive. It doesn't put on any offensive pressure. And wow, we're actually up against a really high-rated opponent for this next one, but that's it's a really cool team. Wow. Dracozolt and the Dracovish. Kangaskhan, so, I mean, I'm expecting the Silkscar fake-out Last Resort set here. Butterfree, Sylveon, and Inteleon. Wow. That's a really cool team. I love going up against, like, high-ranked opponents who just have, like, really cool stuff like that. Ferrothorn on paper looks fantastic here. You can't get put to sleep, and it does a lot. But I don't know if it's, like, a max option, because normally we want to max Terrakion or Charizard. But the problem with Terrakion on Charizard is that there is an Inteleon on the opposing side. Because, like, and a Dracovish. But Inteleon's even scarier because you can choose not to Dynamax and use Snipe Shot to ignore my Gastrodon, which could be a problem. I haven't really brought out Clefairy, and I feel like that is probably maybe the missing element I need to incorporate into the team. For now, I kind of want to lead Persian Charizard, although I guess that's really weak to Dracozolt. Maybe we even max Gastro in this game. Persian, Charizard, Gastrodon, and Ferrothorn. If anything but the Dracozolt comes out as a lead, I think this is fine. But if Zolt actually comes out as a lead, I think this will be pretty bad. Now, I could have just gone with the Terrakion in the Persian lead, but I wasn't super comfortable with that because there is a Dracovish on the opposing side, and Scarf Dracovish can obviously just fish us around and outspeed us and, you know, pick up a knockout onto the Terrakion. I guess Charizard is also threatened by the Dracovish. So, let's see. It's going to be Kangaskhan and Butterfree. Okay. Okay. What item are you on Butterfree? That's a big question. Because I could pretty easily just fake out an Airstream here, right? That seems relatively safe. Because we should outspeed the Kangaskhan. Yeah, like this covers for Scarf or Sash Butterfree. The only question is whether I should go for Wildfire instead, but I kind of like Airstreaming this turn. Yeah, because I'm going to knock out Butterfree anyway, so I'm essentially wasting a little bit of residual damage here. If I go for the Wildfire. I don't think Kangaskhan, I really need to pressure with a knockout immediately here anyway. And I want the speed boost just to ensure that I outspeed everything in the back. Because Airstream is basically this team's best way of maintaining speed control. So that allows us to outspeed everything with Charizard going into turn 2, which is good, especially that Dracovish in the back, which I thought was kind of a threat. And what that allows us to do is go for the Sunny Day setup the next turn and just Wildfire for a KO. Yep, so there's Fake Out onto Persian. That's fine with me. Like, I just want to make sure Butterfree doesn't get anything off in this game. No speed control, no Sleep Powders. Sleep Powder obviously being kind of the most annoying move to deal with. I mean, Terrakion could have worked out as a lead here, I guess. I could have just led Persian Terrakion, Fake Out Rock Slide. So, I'm actually kind of surprised my opponent led Butterfree and Kangaskhan. I mean, they're basically using Butterfree as kind of a sacrificial lamb to get something in for free. I think that's going to be Dracozolt, which is not great to see. Obviously, I have Max Quake, though, so that's a slight upside. But Max Lightning will still kind of dunk on us here, right? So, I could pretty easily Parting Shot here into the Zolt. Or I could just Sunny Day Wildfire or Sunny Day Max Quake. Now, given that we have Gastrodon on the back, how does my opponent deal with my Gastrodon? I don't actually see great answers from Gastrodon on their end, to be honest. I'm going to Parting Shot here, and because Charizard's going to get one-shot anyway from a Max Lightning, I'm just going to Max Guard this turn. And I think what we can do is go out into Ferrothorn immediately right now. Because I think if we stall out the Dynamax, Gastrodon wins this game against my opponent. And then so what this allows me to do is go for a Wildfire on my last turn, and just get more residual damage off across the board. I could have gone Sunny Day. Actually, I wonder if Sunny Day Max Quick would have been a KO onto the Dracozolt here. I don't know that calc super well. Because if it is, then obviously that would have been our play. But I didn't want to like miss out on the knockout and then have both of my Pokemon get KO'd immediately. I'd rather play a little bit more defensively right now. So, Gastrodon or I want to go into Ferrothorn because I think Kangaskhan's probably going for the last resort here into the Persian slot. So I get some Iron Barbs damage, which is nice. Yep, there it is. Still going to do a hefty amount. Yeah, that does 60 damage. That's impressive. And there's Max Lightning. Okay. Got Gastrodon in the back. I have Persian. I think I obviously want to I want a Wildfire here for the residual. So I think just knock off here and Wildfire is okay. That should knock out Kangaskhan after the residual damage. I need a calc how much Max Quake does after the game. Sunny Day Max Quake into Zolt. I don't think that'd be a KO, but if it were, then I messed up for sure. We don't KO the Kangaskhan, but that's fine. Like, it's gonna faint after the turn anyway. And yeah, last resort went into Charizard anyway. Look how much damage that does. Lightning comes out, Charizard will go down, but I've got the residual effect now. I've got Gastrodon in the back, and I have Persian, which I can bring in for a Fake Out turn. So, like, the thing is that Gastrodon should win pretty comfortably against Dracozolt. I guess Dracozolt could have Dragon Claw or Aerial Ace, but it is at -1 attack right now. Persian can bring it down to -2 actually as well, which is nice. And I'm getting rid of its item here, and if it's a Life Orb, that's bad for it. But I'm wondering if it's policy here. That's one reason why... Oh, it's actually AV. Interesting. Okay, well then the Sunny Day Max Quake play definitely wouldn't have worked, but I don't mind seeing AV because that means you're substantially weaker than if you had something like a Life Orb. So I can bring in Persian now, I think. And what I can do with Persian is just... Actually, I could just bring in Gastrodon double protect. No, I can't protect with Ferrothorn, never mind. I think I'm okay bringing out Persian. Yeah. I want to conserve Gastrodon for the late game here against the Zolt. We have multiple turns of G-Max Wildfire to work with, and we can obviously just Fake Out and double up onto whatever's switching in here. And that looks like a Sylveon to me. Okay. Sylveon makes this very interesting because it's going to have Mystical Fire here to deal with Ferrothorn, presumably. Now, I've got Heavy Slam, so I can kind of just dunk on the Sylveon. Question here is, do you protect Sylveon? Obviously, I could Fake Out and like double up onto that slot right now. Alternatively, the play I'm thinking of is Parting Shot into the Dracozolt, which I know can't protect here. Bring that to -2. And go for... I actually don't know what's stronger between Heavy Slam and Gyro Ball here. I think it would be Heavy Slam. Yeah. I just think here with Sylveon, you have to watch out for the double. Maybe I can Parting Shot the Sylveon instead, actually. No, if I'm expecting the Sylveon to protect, I should target Zolt. Ah, Sylveon didn't protect. Okay. So now the question is whether a Mystical Fire KOs us. Because here's the thing, even, like, I think Gastron's actually still in a decent position in this endgame, although Hyper Voice will do a lot into everything. So I could have probably sealed up the game with a double up here onto the Sylveon. But obviously I was worried about the Sylveon just hard protecting here. Oh. Now that was not an option I had considered. Oh dear. How much this now it's single target Hyper Voice too. That's a disaster. Honestly, that looked like Choice Specs damage. I didn't even know Dracozolt got Max Flare. Alright. Well that will seal it up. Not necessarily actually. This is still winnable. Honestly, like, I don't know if that was Specs damage. Like, I can fake out the Sylveon this turn and heal up with the Gastrodon with a Recover. I think that's probably our best play. Wow, Max Flare Zolt. I mean, that makes sense, right? It's AV. There's still 2 turns of Wildfire, which is really good, right? Yeah. But we don't do any damage with Persian, unfortunately, right? So, like, I can fake out Sylveon this turn, Recover, into Parting Shot into Gastrodon, Earth Power Zolt, and then try to play the 1v1 against Sylveon. But I think Sylveon just honestly does too much damage to us. They actually go for Aerial Ace, which I'm fine with. That doesn't do very much at all. That is their most consistent option, though, so it makes sense that they went for that. This is going to be really close. Okay. We have one more turn of Wildfire after this turn. Part of me wonders if I should go for Scald, like go for the burn here onto the Sylveon. Oh, I didn't expect Max Flare. That was a really cool play then, because it covered all the options, so it might have been better just if the hard switched out Gastron and just protected on the last turn of Dynamax. Although, given that there was Max Flare, I don't know, maybe we weren't in such a good spot either way. Like, I think I have to Parting Shot into Sylveon right now. I'm pretty sure that's Specs, honestly, but I can't say that with 100% confidence yet. Because the thing is, I don't think Earth Power into Wildfire KOs, and we only have 1 turn of Wildfire left. But Scald would do so little damage. Like, Earth Power crit maybe picks up the KO. Okay. Like, the thing is that Dracozolt's not doing any damage to Gastrodon at -2 attack and no item, so I'm just going to target around that. They actually have to Dragon Claw and miss. Hyper Voice should still just KO the Persian here. We still take so much damage. Yeah, I don't think we really have a shot here unless we crit. Or if somehow Earth Power into Wildfire is actually enough for a KO. Thinking if Recover was the right option there. That is not enough, unfortunately. If he had one more turn of Wildfire, I think we would have had this. But yeah, I didn't expect the Max Flare from the Dracozolt, and that was really neat to see. So ultimately, I think I made a slightly bad Dynamax choice in this game by maxing the Charizard, because my opponent kind of baited me into maxing, and then the Dracozolt basically took over full control. I needed to get Sylveon out 1 turn earlier to have that Wildfire damage off. Yeah, I don't think Beat Up was picking up the knockout there onto it either. Maybe going for the Scald Burn would have been the play then, and then just, you know, protect afterwards. Curious on the item on Sylveon. The problem here is that I switched in that Gastrodon and took all of that damage, right? Okay, and Hyper Voice will finish it off. Yeah, that was a really interesting lead from my opponent, and I think I got too baited into attacking. Like, what I was worried about was, like, Butterfree. What I should have done was not max the Charizard in that position. I think what I should have done was just go fake out Heat Wave. Committing the Dynamax ultimately to Charizard wasn't great. I think maxing Gastrodon would have been a lot better in this, because my opponent didn't have great Gastrodon counters to begin with. You know, they have Inteleon, which can ignore the Storm Drain, but ultimately they don't actually have many ways to deal with damage to Gastrodon. So given the lead, I should have just gone fake out Heat Wave turn 1. Like, I was worried about Kangaskhan potentially going for fake out onto the Charizard. I wanted to punish that. I was also worried about Scarf Butterfree. So I wanted to make sure that I, you know, just guarantee a knockout onto that slot regardless, or outspeed it going into turn 2. But I think Dracozolt was often going to be in the back from my opponent, and it was definitely their best max option. So I think my opponent turned what was a pretty bad matchup and played out of it really, really well. And I think if I were to replay that, I would have conserved my Dynamax for the Gastrodon. Alright, we're going up against Diggersby for this next one. Diggersby has popped up a lot in the recent weeks. which has been pretty cool to see, and hopefully kind of want to feature it on the channel at some point. There's a Clefairy, so I cannot ignore the redirection from that. Obviously, Goggles, you know, doesn't work against the Follow Me. Okay. After going up against Chandelure here and losing the Life Orb Energy Ball yesterday, I'm like, oh man, does that have Life Orb Energy Ball as well? Because Gastrodon looks solid here, although Diggersby is a really big offensive threat, I have to say. So my opponent needs to lead to beat Persian Terrakion, so I would think that involves Clefairy. Diggersby Clefairy looks really scary here, I think. Or sorry, Diggersby Clefable. How do I get around that? I would want to stall out their max ideally. Maybe I can go Clef Charizard in this game, I think. We haven't brought Clef out much, and I think this is a solid game for it. Because it offers Frengar support, and I can heal back. In the back... I like Pharaoh a lot here. And it's between Gastrodon and Terrakion. I'm going to bring Terrakion because it does so much damage into my opponent's entire team. So I'm going to go with a little bit of a different approach here. I'm not the biggest fan of Persian because of the redirection support from Clefable. And I think Diggersby is such a huge threat that we need to have some way to kind of stall out the early game against it. Because when playing against Diggersby, if you can stall out its Dynamax, that's huge. Okay, it's going to be Diggersby Rotom. How do I feel about that? I think it's okay. I mean, I feel forced to Follow Me here, though. The Rotom is actually pretty scary to see. Like, I have Pharaoh, but... leaning towards Follow Me... Oh, I actually really wonder if a Helping Hand, G-Max Wildfire, just one-shots Diggersby here. This is a little aggressive, but I'm going to go for it. I feel like Diggersby probably survives, but let's find out. Because if Diggersby maxes and we just knock it out, that would be huge. Persian and Charizard actually would have been okay here, because that could have just gone Sunny Day, Wildfire. Which also sets up the Sun, so that Rotom's water-type attacks do less damage. Should it go for it? I think in this position, I can actually see Rotom going for... oh, this also could be Scarf Diggersby. I know some players are running that more now. And if you are Scarf Rock Slide, that'd be pretty bad for us, I think. Like, if you're Scarf Rock Slide into Dynamax Rotom, that's really bad news. Especially because I think Chandelure is going to be in the back for sure. Okay, so something's maxing. Let's see what it is. Okay. I don't know if I like my turn 1 play that much. Okay, Diggersby maxes. I honestly think Helping Hand Wildfire, if I had to guess, is like 75-80%, so I don't know if this was really that good of a play. Now I kind of wish I led Persian Charizard, but I think Clefairy was just so scary. It was the combination of Clefairy plus the... Oh my goodness, it's Scarf Tom. Oh, that's disastrous for us then. Oh. Yeah, that will be the game, unfortunately. I could have gone for Follow Me there. I didn't expect Scarf Rotom at all. I should have. The dynamics, that's why dynamic speed is so powerful, right? Although, quite frankly, if I led Persian Charizard, I probably would have just gone Sunny Day and Wildfire, so I just didn't expect the Electro Web speed control at all. That was really well done. Maybe this is still winnable, though. Let's not give up. Because Pharaoh is really good into my opponent's team. Scarf Tom doesn't do that much damage, so like what I could do here is just protect. I've got the Friend Guard support right now, and I you know, this is a really offensive Ferrothorn with Power Whip, so I don't know what this damage calc into Diggersby is, but yeah. Scarf Electro Web. That's, yeah. There's some cool ways you can manage speed control around Chandelure coming in. That's Clefable, actually. Okay. The thing is, my opponent's super weak to Pharaoh right now, based off what they brought out. I think I'm probably getting targeted here. Until the Ferrothorn slop. Let's see. Yep. We should survive that, though, with Friend Guard. We do. Okay. Problem is that I'm forced to follow me this next turn. Unless Power Whip actually just one-shots here. Maybe it can. Let's see. I doubt it, but... Oh, it was pretty close. Gotta give credit where credit is due. Man. What do we do now? How is there any way in which we win this? It's the last turn of Dynamax, so I could see Terrakion potentially clutching out a win for us here. I honestly think that the play is to go for a double protect. Oh, I messed up. I should have helping handed last turn. I was obviously worried about Diggersby one-shotting the Clefairy there. But yeah, I should have called it there because I was expecting the Ferrothorn target too. So if we got that knockout, we'd actually maybe not... Well, they probably have Chandelure as the last one, so I think we'd still be kind of in an awkward spot. But yeah, I'm going to go for the double here. I went for Gyro Ball into Clefable. I don't think that makes much sense. Yeah, they're going to helping hand. Heavy Slam would have been a better option there. We don't get the double off, so it's not looking great now. Because this should be going into Clef. Yeah. I just totally got caught off guard by the Scarf Electro Web. That was really good. And you know, that's like the beauty of a set like that. You can often catch your opponents off guard on turn 1. And so I needed to lead specifically against that a little bit better. Okay, the upside is that we know it's Scarf Tom in the back. Okay, both Pokemon from my opponent's team actually, I would think, might be in Rock Slide. They have a Berry here, so probably not anymore. I was going to say be in Rock Slide KO range. I think regardless, we still have to go for Rock Slide. Maybe get a flinch here. The alternative is to consider Swords Dancing, but I don't think that makes any sense because Diggersby can just go for any ground type attack and KO Terrakion. I don't even know if Rock Slide KOs Diggersby from this range, to be honest, but... Like, I can hope that for some reason my opponent didn't bring in Chandelure, because if they have anything else in the back... Even with Chandelure, I mean, Terrakion stands a chance, but there's only 2 turns of Sandstorm left, so we kind of need to force the Rotom out now and hope for a miss. I think Gyro Ball... sorry, Heavy Slam would have picked up the knockout last turn, so that was a misplay to Gyro Ball. I'm going to Rock Slide Knockoff, just to cover for the option of a switch. No, they go for Follow Me, so maybe we actually pick up a double KO here. If Rock Slide doesn't miss the Diggersby. I jinxed it. Yeah, well, that will seal the game, unfortunately, I think. Yeah. I want to say Rock Slide was KOing from that range, but I can't say that with 100% confidence. I mean, the Diggersby had like 10% HP. So I'm curious on that calc. That's a little unfortunate, but my opponent had such a... Like, I didn't play with the max this game, right? So I don't think that really mattered. They just had a much better game plan than I did in this one. Yeah, Rock Slide should be doing enough there to pick up the knockout. So we probably would have picked up a double KO there, and then it would have been Scarf Tom with 1 turn of Sand and then 1 more Pokemon. So if the last one is Chandelure, then I think what we're basically dependent on is a Rock Slide flinch onto the Chandelure. If we get the flinch, we actually probably win. Because we should survive a Hydro Pump from the Rotom. So then it's a question of whether Chandelure also has Protect or not. But I actually think we could have fought back in that match if we didn't miss that Rock Slide there. So it's a little unfortunate, but you know, we hit our Rock Slides earlier on in the day. So that's... If you keep using Rock Slide, obviously it's not... I mean, 90% accurate is pretty dang good. But you're bound to miss a couple. So, yeah. But I want to play a 4th game today since that last match was relatively fast. So against Scarf Tom and Diggersby, how do I lead against that? I mean, I could lead Persian to fake out into Rotom, but I don't have anything that pressures Diggersby with a 1-hit KO. Max Ferrothorn's an option in that matchup. Maybe. Alright. This is kind of... reminds me a lot of, like, Poke Alex's Players' Cup team. Players' Cup Invitational team, actually. It's definitely pretty slow-paced for the most part. AV Pharaoh looks fantastic here. I think the Ferrothorn's what scares me here. Oh, I could lead Persian Terrakion. I feel like Ferrothorn might be the Pokemon that needs to Dynamax in this matchup, though. But I have to worry about Mystical Fires and whatnot. How does my opponent outlead Persian Terrakion? Dracovish? Which Pharaoh destroys? The thing is, I don't want to lead too passively because Dracovish and Terrakion can do a lot of damage to me if I do. Maybe I just lead Persian Terrakion, and if they set up Trick Room, that's fine, because then I can just put in some work with Ferrothorn. Question is between Gastrodon and Clefairy here. Clefairy is actually a really interesting option. I just noticed their Ferrothorn is actually going to be a huge problem for us, isn't it? So I actually might have to conserve the, I might have to conserve the Terrakion. Yeah. Because I think a late game Ferrothorn we don't have much offense with if I'm planning on maxing with our own Ferrothorn. But leading Charizard, or bringing Charizard into a matchup with Terrakion and 2 waters feels really bad, so I don't think I could go with that. Lapras Dracovish. Okay. Obviously, this is super weak to just a Gastrodon switch in. My fear here is weakness policy on Lapras. I really don't want to proc a policy here. I've got Gastro in the back, and I've got Ferrothorn in the back as well. I mean, I want a hard switch into Gastrodon here. And maybe just protect this turn. Because I think Lapras is going to Dynamax turn 1, so how we play around this is we stall out the Dynamax. Like, Resonance will probably go up, unfortunately, but we just have to accept that as a consequence. Really nice play from my opponent's end actually would have been to double up onto the Persian slot with Vicious Rend and Resonance, because that covers the switch out, and it covers the fake out, and it covers the parting shot. Unless I switched Gastro in for the Terrakion slot, actually. Maybe I could have considered that option. The thing is, like I mentioned, I have to conserve Terrakion for the potential late game Ferrothorn, which is a little unfortunate. But if I conserve Terrakion, we knock out the Dracovish, I can potentially go for a late game beat up as well. So there's Vicious Rend. if they went for Max Geyser here, we're just in such good shape. But I think it's got to be Resonance, right? Yeah. See if it's into Terrakion or Gastrodon. Yep. So they covered for that option. Good play. But it's not enough to pick up a knockout, which is a big deal. Or sorry, a 2-hit KO. We have Citrus anyway, so we were good regardless. But that means I can just go for... Oh, this is actually really interesting, because I can actually just recover here, heal back all the damage. You have to switch out the Dracovish. So I can Swords Dance here, actually. It's a relatively free Swords Dance, because Lapras can't go for Geysers in this position either. So... Yeah, I mean, we're going to take a lot of damage from Resonance. It's not Life Orb Lapras, which is why I'm, like... You know, I've been so hesitant. Like, obviously, I could have just clicked Rock Slide on turn 1 there relatively safely, even if you target a Terrakion. I could take a little bit of damage, but I can't let a weakness policy go off in this game. I really can't. Not until at least I stall out the Dynamax, I think. Yep, so there's the Dracovish switch out. And there's Sylveon coming in. Okay. I wonder if +2 Rockfall KOs Sylveon. Oh, and they Max Guard. Wow. That's huge. That is really... I mean, that's like the best case scenario for us, I'd say. We get a boost off and we heal all the way back up to full. So that's already 2 turns of Dynamax over. I have no idea if Rockfall +2 KOs Sylveon with screens being up. Because I really want to Dynamax Terrakion at this point. It's pretty safe to just double protect here. I want to Rockfall so badly here. I really do. We've got Persian. Okay, like, Ferrothorn walls the Dracovish. How does my opponent deal with Ferrothorn? It'd be Sylveon primarily. I think, honestly, here I'm content just protecting the Gastrodon, maxing, and Rockfalling into Sylveon. Even if we don't pick up the knockout onto Sylveon, we get the Sandstorm up, and a Resonance plus Hyper Voice into a Dynamax Terrakion with Sand up shouldn't pick up a knockout. So that last throw was fantastic for us. I'm surprised that the Lapras played so passively. I feel like it really didn't need to. It could have gotten some free damage off. And wasting a turn of Max is great for us here. This is where Gastrodon's really important. That's why I felt like I needed to bring it into a matchup with 2 water types, especially because I think, you know, if I bring Charizard here, it's just kind of doomed against the waters. So, you know, Terrakion able to put in more damage and offensive pressure. Okay, no protects, no switches. That's fine. If we pick up a 1-hit knockout here, we're in really, really good shape. Oh, survives with what looks like around 3 to 5%ish or so. So it's a little sad, but it's okay. There's Resonance, gonna go into Terrakion, but with the Sandstorm boost, we survive decently. Get crit though, which isn't ideal. Problem is now, what is your Dracovish moveset? Ah, it's an unfortunate crit. Do you have a way to knock out Terrakion, for example, like Psychic Fangs? Ah, it's a shame we missed out that KO. That was so close. I could have just protected Terrakion and scalded Sylveon. That may have been a better option. I also have to worry about Freeze Dry Lapras here, I think. They bring out their own Terrakion. Interesting. That's very interesting. Because that is... Are they... They might just risk a speed tie here, then? I'd like to hard switch right now, maybe. Gastrodon into Persian, protect Terrakion, so then I can fake out the subsequent turn. I just hate that it might come down to Terrakion speed. It could be Scarf Terrakion as well. That might explain the switch out. Most Laprases are running Freeze Dry, right? Okay, I'm going to go out into Persian here, and I think Max Guard with our own Terrakion. Because then I can fake out Knuckle or fake out Rockfall the subsequent turn. We'll see if it's Scarfed as well. Well, I can't really tell from this turn, I guess, but... I'd love to see a Protect come out from something here, because then I can target that slot next turn. They just go for Close Combat. Yeah, let's see if it's Freeze Dry or Blizzard. Yeah, let's Freeze Dry. Okay. So I think we had to go for that play. Okay. Oh, this really may come down to a Terrakion speed tie. Like, I really do want to just fake out the Terrakion and Knuckle it here. Oh, no, Dracovish is Scarfed. So I think Terrakion's probably going to be sashed. Which means... I'm just trying to think if there's any way I can get around a potential speed tie here. I don't really see it, to be honest. Fake out, and... I mean, I could just go for the Rockfall here onto Lapras. But I think because you might be Sash on Terrakion, if you're double protecting here, I need to do damage through the Protect. They don't protect, though! That's huge! Question is, does Knuckle KO now? Because of screens being up. We're at +2 attack, though. Okay, nice. That's really big. Because now I think Ferrothorn wins this game. Yeah. What I was thinking there is that even if you protect, I at least like have the 50-50 the subsequent turn. Hydro did one-shot us there, though, so if they just protected Hydro, we'd be in pretty bad shape here, I think. But given the crit and the survival earlier, I think we kind of needed to make a big play or two here in this late game. Okay, so let's bring out Ferrothorn now. Actually, if I bring out Gastrodon, I can protect Parting Shot, right? No, because... Oh, yeah, I can. Like, the thing is, like, Gastrodon completely invalidates the Dracovish here. And it forces Dracovish to go for a non-Vicious Ren option, all which are fine by me. And so Ferrothorn should have a pretty decent endgame here, but it's still far from over. And it is Light Clay Lapras, okay. So let's go for a Parting Shot here. Oh, I could just Fake Out this turn, right? Is there any reason to not Fake Out here? Get some chip off? If you lock yourself into an attack with Dracovish and knock out Persian, that would be bad. And like, I like the Parting Shot here, so I'm not going to bother for Fake Out. So I'm just going to Parting Shot and Protect here. I think it's a pretty safe play. They could have protected Lapras, but it doesn't look like they're going to go for it. Yeah, they're just clicking Rock Slides. So Dracovish now we know is going to be committing to Rock Slides, which is fine. How much does that do? 95. Oh, that barely does anything. Okay. And we don't flinch, which is huge. Because now what we can do is cycle in Persian in and out for Fake Outs and more Parting Shots. Okay, so that's good. We get Ferrothorn in cleanly. That's super good to have out right now. Actually, what I don't want to do right now is knock off the item from the Dracovish, because we want that to just keep clicking Rock Slide at this point in the game. And with the Assault Vest on Ferrothorn, we're looking pretty good in this end game. Yeah, so there's Freeze Dry into the Gastrodon. Gastrodon did its job here, right? I just needed it to lock the Dracovish into an attack effectively. I'm pretty sure we should survive a Freeze Dry. I'm just going to Power Whip here into the Lapras and go for a Recover. Yeah. Terrakion came up huge for us in this game. They actually ended up missing a Rock Slide on a Gastrodon. I mean, I think Pharaoh's the one they want to hit anyway, because Gastro can heal and replenish itself. Here's Freeze Dry. I didn't want to switch in Persian here, because I think Persian with Fake Out support in this late game is really valuable. So yeah, we're able to survive, eat up the Citrus, heal back up. And I'm just stalling out the screens at this point, because Ferrothorn should be able to close out this one for us. And we get the Recover off, which is good, so we effectively negate all the damage this turn. Basically, my opponent doesn't do any damage into Ferrothorn with either Pokemon right now, so they need a Freeze or a Flinch. But neither happened this turn, which is good. We get the Power Whip off, and wow. Even with screens up, that's almost a KO. So that's good, because I don't have to rely on Power Whip then the subsequent turn. The Protect here is relatively obvious. So I'm actually thinking we can just play a little bit more aggressively here. And just go for Heavy Slam and Earth Power, because if we can, well, let me, hold on. There's one more turn of Aurora Veil off. If you Rock Slide and you actually get the Freeze Dry freeze onto Ferrothorn is what I'm worried about here. We should survive a Freeze Dry onto the Gastro too, so I think I'm content just keep clicking Heavy Slam and Earth Power here into Lapras, because if Lapras goes down, Ferrothorn wins this. Yeah, they end up forfeiting. Okay. Really interesting set of games today. I feel like the first loss against the Kangaskhan Butterfree team, I definitely got baited into Dynamaxing Charizard, and so that was poor max. Like, I was looking at what was directly in front of me and didn't think about the late game and what could potentially max on, you know, in the back from my opponent. And that second game was just Diggersby, a really, really impressive use of Diggersby, and you can see kind of the synergy that it has with Rotom, and just dynamic speed control, right? Like, obviously Whimsicott doesn't exist anymore, but you'll often see Diggersbys with exactly that kind of speed control, or maybe Tailwind from something like Talonflame as well. So yeah, and like I mentioned, Choice Scarf Diggersby is something that's popped up recently as well. So, you know, I thought about the Scarf, I thought it'd be on Diggersby instead, but ended up being on the Rotom. And while we're here, actually, I want to calculate how much Wildfire does. I think that was a misplay regardless. It was definitely a misplay, because we're not base 150 Wildfire, so I don't think Life Orb Helping Hand would come close to a knockout, to be honest. Oh, it's actually stronger than I thought. 74 to 88%. Let's see. Yeah, that was a bad play regardless. Like, even if my opponent didn't have the Scarf there, I shouldn't have gone for that. So, not a great turn one by me. Like, in that third game, and the one we lost, what would have been more consistent probably would have just been a Follow Me and a Max Airstream turn one. Oh, I guess the Rotom still outspeeds the next turn, so maybe not. But I would think we survived the Rockfall. The question is whether Clef can survive Rockfall plus 2 Electro Webs. So I kind of just didn't have a great answer against the Diggersby. Now that I know it's Scarf, like I could have led Persian Charizard, but Charizard gets dunked on by Diggersby. So I would think, I don't know. The problem is that Diggersby is so good into that matchup, because Charizard and Terrakion are the two Dynamax threats, so maybe it's leading Gastrodon, but you can see the offensive pressure that Diggersby puts on turn one, right? Like, it kind of one-shots a lot of the things that we had, so I think I needed to play super defensively against it, bait a Rockfall, switch into Ferrothorn, stall out the Dynamax, and then maybe go from there. But yeah. That's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Go check out Audie. Once again, he is the original team builder, and he has a YouTube channel, so check him out. Linked in the description below. Thanks, as always, for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all soon. All right. Peace.